It's interesting though, that you know what you're saying about that the one who said he was in France.
Yeah.
That sounds almost a bit like the problem that the Muslims are having now.
Oh.
Where they say it all started in the Hijaz, in the middle of the, where there's no water.
Yeah.
But yet, when you actually read the history, and even with their history, they always talk about like Damascus and Jerusalem. So and the fact that any of their like solid history started that were written was written by people who were like in Cairo, Ctesiphon, Baghdad.
Yeah.
So it's all that area is where the actual people doing all the writing.
Yeah, they're 3,000 miles away, 2,000 miles away, and 200 years plus away.
Yes.
Okay, but our writings don't start with Irenaeus. They go back before that. We have St. Clement of Rome. Clement, the fourth bishop, not Sixtus as I'm saying, Clement. He writes a letter to the Corinthians. So he's writing from Rome to a bunch of guys in Greece, telling them to get their house in order. Now, what is a bishop in one country having the temerity to tell a bunch of guys running their church in another country? If this was Protestantism, they'd tell them to get lost. It's our church, we've got our Bible, you go and sling your hook. Clement, they'd say. This was a true Protestant faith in the 1st century AD. But Clement, no, he expects them to do as he's telling them to do. And they don't write back and say, sling your hook.
Yeah, because he's writing from where all the guys with the big swords come from, isn't it? So
no, this is the big guys with the big swords are using them to chop off the heads of the Christians. They're not being wielded in favour of the Christians. Yeah. Clement has no earthly authority. It is a purely spiritual authority he's exercising.
But what year was that?
About 1890.
Yeah, so that was a good time for some chopping still being happening because Alexandria got sacked in 130 something, wasn't it? So between
I don't know. You may be right, but what matters is Clement was writing without any authority of the Roman state behind him. Rome was a dangerous place to be. The vast majority of our early popes were all martyrs. But the point I'm getting at here is that we have this letter from Clement at a time when the apostles were not yet all dead, writing and telling a bunch of guys in another country what to do. You don't get that kind of thing being written by other countries to Rome. They accept Rome as authority. It's constant that Rome has authority over Christians far and wide. Now, there is times when other Christians balk at the claimed authority of Rome. This is true, because we're human, people are human. You telling us what to do, but Rome always had this sense that it had authority, like Pope St. Victor I, when he was going to excommunicate the entire Eastern Christianity because they wouldn't have our date for Easter. I think they wanted to celebrate it on the Jewish Passover. But there you go. This claim of authority is there. It's not as if the early popes equivocate. They just are sure they've derived authority from Peter, who got it from Christ because he was given the keys.
But that still sounds like a bit like the caliphate to me, because if
the Catholic caliphate.
No, because if the letters are coming from the same place that all the swords came from, then you can understand why the people would be submitting to those letters.
I'm a little bit unsure how your parallel works there. I mean, the swords are not Catholic swords. These are pagan Roman swords. The caliphate, as is wielding the sword on behalf of the Mohammedans.
Yeah, but remember, he's sending the letter in that direction from Rome down to Greece.
Yeah.
And then the same direction the swords are coming from Rome down to Greece, isn't it?
No. In fact, there was peace in the Roman Empire. Greece was at peace with Italy. There was no problem there. But this instruction by Clement to the Corinthian Christians is purely on the spiritual level. Nothing to do with the empire, except that the empire makes it easier to communicate.
By the way, there was an issue at that time, and Christians had to resolve it. And St. John Evangelist was still alive, but with the issue they went to Clement as the Pope, even as the Apostle was still alive. So they didn't go for the resolution of that issue to St. John, but to Clement as Pope. And Clement was not the Apostle. St. John was the Apostle.
That's
very important.
Closer to Corinthians than Rome is to Corinthians.
Yes, these are very important points, because if we have the Apostle John alive, what on earth is a bishop who's not an apostle in Rome writing to tell people near St. John's neck of the woods what to do, unless that bishop in Rome feels he's got the authority from Christ himself as the bearer of the keys?
Well, or it could be that because that bishop knows that his guys are the ones that lock John up, so now they can change things around because he's silenced now on that big island out wherever it is.
Well, if one might think that John's out of the picture, he can't do anything, and I can understand that, but it's unlikely to be known. But nonetheless, what really comes from all this is that we have people in Rome again and again who feel they've got an authority which no other Christian claims. Because as we talked about the Eastern Orthodox, they never, despite them claiming all kinds of what I think are dodgy things, we don't have them claiming the authority the Pope claims.
Yeah.
No bishop anywhere on earth claims the authority the Pope claims. Now, either the popes are a bunch of lunatics, like Luther may be right, Calvin may be right. They're just like, what's it, that Dave Hunt book, A Woman Rides the Beast, and the beast is the Catholic Church and all this kind. Maybe it's all true, but we are either a bunch of nutcases, or we have something that goes right back to the 1st century AD and Christ himself. And that certainty, that unwavering certainty, is from the devil or it's from God. I believe Protestants are right when they say, they're right to point to us and say, you people are from the devil. Because from their point of view, they've got to say that. You can't equivocate about this. We are either from God or from the devil in our organisation. Yeah, that's what it would be. If one disagrees with our religion, one should see it that way. There's no point being fluffy and ecumenical.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. We were talking, you mentioned about John being alive.
Yes.
So then,
as far as we know.
Yeah, so then how could that one, you said it was Clement, was the one who sent the letter from Rome?
From Rome to the Corinthians.
So then, if John was alive, then that means Clement should have broken him out of the island, and John should have been there with him in Rome.
Who do you think Clement was? He might have been some sickly, bespectacled guy like me. We can't break anybody out of anywhere.
Well, remember what you said, that letter was pretty serious.
Yeah, but you see, if John was in prison at the behest of the Roman Empire, Clement was, I think, martyred in our tradition. Most of these guys were martyred. They ain't breaking anybody out of anywhere. Never mind an island long way away.
Right. Okay. So he could still write that strong letter, like you said, but then he was also martyred as well.
Well, yeah. These guys lived a short life. It was the condition of Christianity at the time. Even when the church was massively established and strong, Emperor Justinian from Byzantium sent, I think, Belisarius, his general, maybe it wasn't him, but somebody like him, to arrest the Pope. The Pope Vigilius was arrested, taken, imprisoned. This was about the year, Justinian was emperor in the 500s, around 530, 540. Right. And so the Vigilius would have been arrested around that time and taken off, and he suffered so much he didn't live very long after he was released.
Yeah.
So you see, the emperors were not always our friends, and Roman authority is quite different from papal authority. Papal authority as such is there for a few centuries in the Middle Ages, really. Not the very early Middle Ages, because it's too chaotic, but in the higher Middle Ages. And then it wanes after that, so, we don't have any significant spiritual authority. But you don't need to, that's another thing. The focus is, this man, all these guys are saying, we have the right to tell you guys what to do, wherever you are in the world. What on earth are they doing saying this? Are they sane?
Well, no, it must just be because they, the fact that they knew him means that he either would have...
Knew who?
No, the Clement, because if Clement's going to send a letter to the people in Corinth,
yeah.
If they don't know him, some letter arrives, then who's this guy? They throw it in the bin, wouldn't they? So they must have either seen him or someone they know has actually visited him.
So why, in about the year 190 or thereabouts, did Pope St. Victor I threaten to excommunicate the entire Eastern Christian Church? When I say the Eastern Christian Church, I mean the part of the church in the East, part of the Catholic Church in the East. Take care. I mean, we can't say he knew all those guys. I mean, they will have known him as Bishop of Rome. Yeah. And he was writing as Bishop of Rome, as Clement was writing. again, it's writing with what he perceived to be his authority.
Yeah, but then the people there, see, when it comes, because back in those days, obviously we don't have like instant communications. So usually when someone writes, you have to, you might not know them personally, but the only way you can have a link is there has to be someone else like who's travelled and known them, and then they would then be able to know who that person is, and they can tell you who the person is.
What would happen is priests would often go with a letter from the Pope to the place that letter is to be delivered.
Yeah, but those people have to know that priest.
No, well, no, they'll simply come with maybe a seal. I don't know. Maybe there's a special seal.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't always be practical for what you've said to occur. But what matters is whatever the means of getting the communication across from one place to the other. These men, none of these men in Rome ever turned around and said, "Oh gosh, you know, so and so who was one of my predecessors, I think he went a bit far. We don't really have all this authority. We're just like brother bishops, like the rest of you guys." Why didn't that happen?